Good. Hello from my side, and I have the pleasure to be after the lunch, so I will introduce you the latest news on this rainy Monday, but in 2028. On the weekend, we had a global bank outage caused to agentic development, agents which were cascading a software update across many banks. As you know, they can reach meanwhile up to production. They were able to shut them down for 15 minutes. There's an open source chaos. Agents are now flooding open source projects with changes of million lines of code, or even 1,000 lines of code, or even files. And we humans can't maintain this anymore. We have no clue how to deal with that. Massive or mass layoffs are planned by many companies as they are under cost pressure, and agents can do our job very good. So they are planning massive layoffs. Kind of the age of chaos is near. Agents are empowering our engineers that they get superpowered, or even that agents are taking over their roles. Welcome to the age of chaos. My name is Matthias. I will let you meet the test automation Avengers today. I can already make a small spoiler, so your shield will get activated. So you see, I like Marvel and Avengers. If you don't know the wording, doesn't matter. Hopefully you still enjoy the pictures. And yes, you will see also this hands-on. As it was already announced, there will be a demo afterwards. Who is speaking? Matthias, this you heard already from Austria. Personally, I always want to have the highest coverage of understanding in the room. That's the reason why I speak English. Also, yesterday the icebreaker was in English, so there are some English people, so hopefully this is okay. Of course, questions or afterwards we can meet up in German, if this is preferred. In Raiffeisen International, where I'm working for, I'm there acting as engineering coach. So based on team topologies, I'm in an enabler team, our supportive team, where I help teams getting better in engineering practices like test automation, CI/CD, etc. And I'm their engineering guild lead, as we have our end-to-end responsible teams, fully individual. Still, we need to have a kind of a harmonization. So the guild is the concept where we bring this together, and I have the pleasure to organize this. That you have a little bit of context, it's all about context. So you also need to have some context who is speaking here. Raiffeisen International, corporate investment bank, leading in Central Eastern Europe, that's enough, and really cool to work there. Yes, I'd like to share what we are doing, conference, authors, and so. Yes, because it's all about socializing. If you have no interest in this holy eye stuff or test automation, I have really cool barbecue recipes, so we can also meet up there. But this is sharing, so if I share one recipe, you also need to share a recipe, okay? So happy to do so. Good, enough about this. Age of chaos. The breaking news, of course, I created them. I have no clue. Maybe in 2028, I will take a look at those. Curious what it will be. But is it real? Do we need kind of these Avengers or not? So I like numbers. Up to now, it's super tricky. I don't talk about the companies who are selling us the new AI capabilities because they are super confident that they are reinventing the whole world. Others, and we heard today also about Dora and others, I also did some research. I researched on Google and searched for researchers which did the research. So no worries, these are not my numbers. McKinsey, I guess pretty well known, they did the research, and it's kind of interesting about the performance increase of developers by generative AI or agentic AI. And it's really good, and we heard that partially in other talks. So for code generation and code documentation, it's super efficient. You can see here it's more than 30%, crazy stuff. Not so good at the moment for highly complicated tasks, like architectural design, etc. Still, I have to say, no, I say it with this. There's another research by tech reviewers, and they did a good job because they did this already in 2024. So now we can see a trend. And as you can see that, oh no, I need to try the new feature. No. Damn it. I have a new clicker, whatever. So they can see that most of the developers self-assess themselves that they have an increase about 20% and less last year. Yeah? But most of these bucket here moved now to that bucket. Yeah? Or here, so you can see they say even more than 50%. So the trend is crazy. Yeah? Don't want to imagine 2028. So maybe the fear is real. Atlassian, they make every year their developer experience research. Yeah? I recommend to read this. It's always very good. It's about 3,500 developers are getting the same questions. And the developers were kind of, so this is really what the developers, the engineers said, yeah? That they have a time save, and you can see here, yeah, it's most of them are more than 10 hours per week, not per month. And also here, this is like, interesting. I'm curious what they are doing now with these 10 hours, by the way. Maybe generating pictures with AI. I don't know. Good.
Like that one.
Thanks. Like that one, yes, exactly. So who is now this villain or this enemy now, yeah? Who makes our engineers so super performant? And of course, it needs a name, yeah? So we need to have an enemy to fight against. So I call him Codium. I call him, he's the architect of chaos, because he has a huge potential. And what are these stats now? These numbers are kind of, I said now here, based on the other research, yeah? But they would even be higher, but I don't want to put them too high. But it can lead to the fact that it increases the performance or productivity by 20%. The year-over-year value is about a quarter more, so 25%-ish. It saves you a lot of time. And the last thing is kind of super important. It has the potential to learn and grow. And here we see, yeah, a lot of ongoing, especially if you consider the last month, not speaking about years anymore. The latest models are crazy. Happy to share here also some insights. But it's not the content. Good, so the power is it can kind of do now infinite code generation. And I'm sure all of you, I don't even want to raise the question, tried it out, yeah, and it can produce code just by asking, produce me code, and it will do that, yeah. That's a crazy requirement, by the way. It's full stack, so it can do everything, yeah. So I guess today we also heard it can create test cases, specifications. Yeah, sure, just ask it. It will always respond, I will do something for you. It will never say, no, I don't have enough context. Please provide me more insights. There are no tools which are doing that partially, but in general, no. And if you have activated agentic development, like, now I don't want to name any tools, they operate 24/7. Yeah? So you can generate new product pieces overnight, which is really cool. Yeah? Firing a prompt, go for sleep. At the moment you wake up, you try it out. Cool. Good, but there are some weaknesses. First, it's untested. At least this is my experience. Yeah? AI doesn't like unit tests. Yeah? It produces something, but there are no unit tests, which is for me like, why? I mean, how did you develop it? How did you validate it? Against what? Against the prompt? Come on. You're a professional, create out of the prompt unit test, and then, TDD 2.0. Or that would be cool stuff. This would be flying, in my opinion. But no, of course, you can tell it, hey, generate me unit test for this class, and it will do it. Crap. So overall, it's low quality. Also, it doesn't really care about end-to-end tests or integration tests. I don't know why. I thought it was fed in with the best data which we have. Either we didn't do it. Yeah, you got the point. Hallucination, very important point. It's not the hallucination thingy which was there some years ago. Some months ago. Nowadays, hallucination, especially now with the best models like Sonnet 4.5, etc., they tend to do over-engineering. You ask them, provide me this custom endpoint to receive customer data, and it will provide you a statistic, it will make it crazy stuff. And we engineers, we read this, we try it, it works, yeah? And then like, oh, that's cool, we add it in. No, customer will never use it, it's gold plating, we don't want to do it, over-engineer, no, yeah? It designs me a feature where I have 1 request per hour, and it puts it for a clusterization. Why? No, it's a static website. We discussed it. Just put it onto S3, whatever. So we need to tell it. Good, I think we need the testing Avengers, so Nick, let's call them in, activate shield, but whom we need? The first one is Hulk. So Hulk in our case is Playwright, and you know when flaky tests make you angry, and you would not like when Playwright gets angry, it's our muscle, it's our executor, it will hit our systems, not only front end, also API of course, yeah, Playwright can do that, very good. It's fast, what I know the fastest on the market. It's reliable, it has the broadest coverage of browsers, and it has the best new features. So it has this MCP support, yeah, this was also mentioned before. And meanwhile, there was because GitHub Copilot was mentioned so often, and we will also use that, it has these custom agents, which are just markdown files, to be honest. But still, you can use them for development, healing, etc. Also planning, yeah. Good, but it can smash more than intended, so this Avenger alone will be too less. Next is Doctor Strange, MCP. So Model Context Protocol. Doctor Strange doesn't just open portals, it aligns dimensions. What I mean with this, yeah? So many people talk about MCP, meanwhile, I don't know why. Just do it 2 years or so in the past, just talking with APIs. Now you can prompt to an API and you're like, yay! Okay, if this was needed, good. So finally we can align things, yeah? We can align tools. This is what we need for, because this will increase context, increase the capabilities, so we have less hallucinations. And still it needs kind of an intelligence, a sorcerer to stay in the context. So we need Iron Man. Of course, Jarvis is the brain. And like Jarvis, it is precise, adaptive, and loyal to the mission. But it needs a mission, yeah? So it's the intelligence, it's super fast, it can be super precise, and of course adaptable, adding in, using now Jarvis, Doctor Strange, for example, MCP. But it needs a direction. Yeah? If you don't do that, it needs guardrails, it needs tests, prompts, context, and of course a purpose. So, I would say it's time for a battle. Codion, of course, created a new release. The application under test is practicesoftwaretesting.com. Kudos goes here to Roy Klein. He is the founder of this. We use this in our company for testing. You can notice it's open source. There is now a new release in the checkout process. And for this, I have prepared now a video. I wanted to show it live, but on my high-end machine, it takes up to 10 minutes. So I don't want to watch my PC working. Good. So the first thing is, so first, be careful, it's source code, but it's okay, yeah? It's TypeScript, I know, but I like it. Good. It's Visual Studio Code, I know, but this is what we're allowed to use in the company, and it's GitHub Copilot, I know, but this is what we're allowed to use in the company, yeah? Privately, I would show you a different tool stack, but easy as it is. Good. So this is kind of Playwright, easy one. To get more precise, the next one is Doctor Strange with MCP. So you can see this here, shortly stop. Kind of also to break the ice for most of you maybe, what is MCP really about? It's nothing. Here in this case, it's an NPM library which we run. Okay, in our case, of course, it's for Playwright, so it can use a browser, it can spin up a browser, can interact with the browser with the Playwright capabilities, like checking the DOM, making a screenshot, etc. Okay? This is what MCP is about. Through natural language, yes. This is this. One more stop, I guess. Okay, so this is now Jarvis. So Copilot, okay, in our agentic mode. And here you can see all the features now through MCP, which it can access to. Also, there are a lot of built-in from the IDE, because it needs to have the history, that it works better. We can have this at the coffee. Good. So then we do now a very sophisticated, important thing. Right. Then comes instruction files. This is super crucial. If you don't use it, start Googling it tomorrow and then apply it. Because these are these guardrails. This is the alignment. You need to have one for the project description. So what is your project about? You need to tell the agent what is it, should it do? What is the product, you know? So you need to tell it. And then you need to tell the agent, what are you? I am now a test automation engineer dealing with Playwright, etc. Otherwise, it thinks it's a database administrator and doing now Playwright tests. Yay! Good. Guardrails, I also use a custom-built library for Sapphire integration. And as it is custom-built, the large language model has no clue about it. This means you need to provide a markdown file of your library for the agent. Afterwards, it will work with it. One for naming conventions. This is more just to showcase you how it works. As I mentioned, please, this is not a good prompt. It doesn't follow any prompt engineering things. It just should showcase you also with this it works. But of course, for our products, we use it differently. So it's about that we go to our web shop, we select 3 articles. It should go fulfill the checkout process, inclusive payment. No data provided, nothing. That's everything. So and you can do it is now selecting the articles, random articles. So this is now the card. Yeah, so you can see it selected 3 different articles. I even haven't set that. And now it should continue. You can see on the right side what it's doing. Yeah. So that was an important step. First, it was just on the sign in. As I have said nothing except that it should fulfill that full task. It by itself identified there is another option like continue as guest, and it filled some demo data. Just imagine now if I would provide the demo data, cool stuff. Of course, now it just generated it. Then it proceeds, billing address, I need one, okay, in the United States. I haven't told him he's in Austria. Payment, credit card, it's selected. Then there were some issues, I guess. Yeah, it screwed up the date format. Now it takes a picture, it screens it, or it got from the DOM, not so sure. It was not too fast. It fixed it, it does the checkout. Good. Cool stuff, finished. This could be now a new testing activity, a new test approach. Put it somewhere on the pyramid, I don't care. I don't like the pyramid. Afterwards, I told him to generate now a source code, because this was now something, this could be different if I run it right now. But I was now reviewing this behavior, and I told him, hey, create another source code out of it. It followed all the test automation patterns which I described in my instruction files, like page object model, etc. Not so sophisticated, but of course you should do the same also for development. Or these locators, yes, of course. I want to show something different, yes. So these are the test cases. First, it followed my naming convention. Yeah, this is kind of happy path test and the module, then the test data and the expected outcome. Nice. This is the Sapphire annotation which I developed. So it's a test case number. This is of course not right because I have not provided it. I could create it with MCP. No. Description and the test cycle. So you see, and the test works. I don't run it afterwards. At least I think so. No, I don't run it afterwards. Got a lot of tests. Fine. Then I was not so happy with the case that it puts test data inside a test case. I don't like this kind of testing. I like data-driven. So I asked it, hey, can you please extract the test data out of our test cases, put it to central space, and give it a certain naming and meaning, so that kind of these are now our valid guest users, etc. It's in a separate JSON file, which I can maintain afterwards. And I can run the same test case now with multiple different combinations. Just need to ask it to do that. Of course, providing now the test data by us. Yeah. Good. So what you can see here is, in my opinion, a new test approach. Yes, it is end-to-end testing, but it's not different. Yeah? We in RBI, we use this to test, not in all products, please, therefore we are too big, but for our front runners, we use it to get more insights now about the behavior. It's testing the application in a completely different way. And it's a feature that it does things if the prompt is not the best. Yeah, because it tests it in a different way. If I provide a checklist, the prompt and the agent and our Avengers will follow this checklist very accurate. Maybe I don't want to have this, because therefore I have my script. And we also use it for refactoring and maintaining test cases, especially locators, etc. Also building many use cases, because it's really cool. So there's now a new area. First is Codion sadly, yeah, it's not now the cool Marvel story, I guess. It's not something to eliminate and remove. It's more like taking it to the whole team. For whatever reason, no, I know the reason, engineers are now leveraging these tools more than other job roles, yeah, because they tend to be more innovative than others. They are closer to the development, and this is now super close to development. So you should use it as a team. You also need to rethink your testing activities, that you do this better in the team. And thanks for the yesterday discussion. You see, I added it in because I really liked it. And we need to, oh, I put it wrong way, or? Non-deterministic to deterministic, sorry. See, this is if you had to do large changes. So the LM is non-deterministic, yeah? But we can use this now to generate source code, which is deterministic, yeah? Sorry for the typo. It is on purpose, why not? So that it gets an additional highlight. And one thing, and you saw the research and my breaking news and so on, it's not so far away that this can happen, to be honest. Yeah, especially thinking now that these language models are trained by a massive amount of data, which is now distributed and used in multiple companies, which will produce the same output. It's not so, yeah, artificial, and this will come faster and faster. Yeah? Now we have this, Codion is here, and will make everything faster if you want to use it. So in my opinion, two things are super important that you need to learn. This is something, will never change, to be honest, seems to be. So you need to be adaptable, don't use your tools too much, you need to be open, use the tools now where AI is best. This is sadly now Playwright. If you use Selenium or others, maybe now it's time to change more than ever. Learn about this. And because I like this guy with his quotes, the future of AI is in our hands. We need to shape it, we build it also, yeah. And with this, I want to end my talk. I want to thank you very much for your attention. Now I'm open for questions if there is time left, but I guess I'm in time.
Dan.
Yeah, shortly. The code and everything you can check out if you want. Yeah.
Okay. Please use the microphone.
So thanks for that interesting and also quite entertaining talk. So I'm wondering a bit, what's your experience with generating markdown files? I mean, you showed your prompt file. I'm not sure how much was this self-generated and how much did you use AI to generate that one? Because with AI now we have two options to implement stuff. We can either implement it as markdown and then use the markdown to prompt AI again to then do actual stuff, or we can directly implement it in source code.
Okay.
Can you comment on that, please?
Yes, it's actually a very good question. This is now, as engineering coach, which I have to train our teams to write markdown files. The problem is, at the beginning, we did it by our own. Then we realized it's not a good approach because it needs certain keywords, it needs certain structure, it needs sometimes, it helps that you even add in XML structure or that you work with the markdown highlight for source code, etc. So it needs examples. Examples are key. This is how the agent works and how it validates if the produced outcome is right. So you need to add in a lot of examples. And we are not good in that as humans. We are more like now that we use the agent to generate the markdown files, and then comes the super boring exercise to read it. And this is something I highly recommend you. We made the tests. If you screw up these markdown files, you screw up the agent. So the things must be there which are valid. Be careful with this.
Okay, so they are necessary, but actually quite tricky to get right.
Yes, but Google Awesome Copilot on GitHub or Cursor markdown files, Windsurf markdown files. No need to reinvent the wheel. But for your product, for your custom libraries, as we have this, or we build our own software components, yay! This we need to create by ourselves, yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this really, really cool talk. I wanted to ask for your opinion on, you were testing your shop application using that setup with the code agents. how you think about the integration of like other approaches, like for fuzz testing, which can actually elevate edge cases, which are highly important for testing later, to combine that and like provide maybe other information to the agent that you could leverage to improve the testing?
Yes. No, this is kind of, you saw now how it works. And yes, so fuzzy testing, so that you are testing with different combination of data to the same use case, more or less, to spotting edge cases. Yes, I guess therefore it's really good. Now we just have one problem with speed. Yeah? Latest models now, especially specialized models, are incredibly fast, not Sonnet or others. So there will be a change quite soon, I'm more than sure. Then it will, because this execution took now 10 minutes. This is too long. Yeah? Of course, you can do it once and then tell it, now create fuzzy testing with Playwright. Yeah? And yeah, I think this is a very good test approach, or a good potential for this, for the Avengers, to stay in the context.
Okay. Still time for one more question. So then, last question.
Is it right that this approach expects the current implementation to be true? So it will not find any new bugs when you execute it. It will just assume that everything it sees now is valid, right?
Yeah, because the checkout in our case worked. If, for example, the selection of articles would not work, or the card is afterwards empty, it would detect me and will say, I can't finish the tests because the application is broken. So yes and no. On the other hand, if I want to test now that the checkout works with my credentials, but my credentials were wrong and automatically it switched into guest mode and made it running, yes. So actually the feature is broken because my credentials are broken, but the checkout was not valid. Yes, these are now the risks which we need to mitigate. This is the reason why I would highly recommend to still watch it, so to work with the headed mode in browser, not headless, that you can see what it really did. Otherwise, you need to go through the test case very in details to see what is the test case doing. And I really have issues. I know this is now heavily discussed, but I think there will come the point in time where we can't review each line of code.
Yeah, because the real advantage is that you can produce a lot of test cases now. And I don't want to review a lot of test cases if I assume they are wrong. Yeah.
Be careful with this. You can generate now thousands of test cases, but please do risk-based testing. There are still testing techniques for reasons. It doesn't replace, it doesn't kick off the testing pyramid and traditional testing scenarios. It's now a new one, and we need to inspect what is the best value gain out of this.
Thanks.
Dan? Okay, short one.
It happened to me once that I also used the agent, and I saw that the agent was making the same mistake over and over again. So I told him, okay, you put this path in this line, this is the wrong path. I checked it manually, please correct it. And he said, I have Googled it, and I think you are wrong, I will not change it. Did something like this happen to you ever?
In GitHub Copilot,
Yeah.
did that. I'm not proud of Copilot, I have to say. I mean, maybe it was wrong behavior, but usually Copilot is not that mature. Actually, my response is always, great, this is an impressive idea, I will do this now.
Usually, yeah.
And then it's again happening again and again and again.
Yeah.
So in this, so in your case, I never had that. It kind of, I guess you just need to tell it again.
So I just modified the file manually and told him, please read the file again.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, this is what I training in teams. Don't do that. Don't go too fast to the line of code. Go first to your instruction files, modify them, and use the agent. Don't go too fast into your old behavior, like inline completion, etc. Try to first leverage these new technologies, and if you really say it doesn't work, then okay, fall back, but then kind of document it and tell it what was the issue. Yeah. This is how we do it. Please, there is no silver bullet. This is just my opinion or our opinion.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, then thanks a lot, Matthias.
Thank you much.